Yeah, we're back. Yes, we are. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Just wrap things up with Dane Palmer from the NFL Network. You catch that interview in its entirety. Go to jakibsports.com or JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. We've got a lot in store for you tomorrow, too. We have Mike Quick is going to be joining us. Mike Quick, who A.J. Brown just surpassed the all-time receiving yards mark of Mike. So we will talk to Mike tomorrow, and D. Lynham will be joining us to talk some Sixers. As we mentioned, they are certifiably hot, and they will take on the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow before they head to the West Coast. So we'll talk to D and Mike tomorrow. Looking forward to that. All right, guys, so let's set our sights here on the Eagles. And the bye week, we know and don't know who they're going to play. The way it works is they'll play whichever of the lowest seed survives. Okay, so basically what that amounts to is it could be, I think there's 4 options. Correct me if I'm wrong here. It could be either Seattle, who are the 7 seed, the Giants, who are the 6 seed, the Cowboys, who are the 5 seed, or the Bucks, who are the 4 seed. It could be any of the above, depending on who wins.
That is correct, sir. That is correct.
And certainly, I would say there are bigger challenges for the Seahawks, maybe than any of those other teams. I think Seattle that's a tough spot, taking on the Niners for sure. So I would say it's unlikely that it's them, but you never know. We've seen weirder things happen in the NFL. That's for sure.
Especially after James said the 49ers celebrate violence.
How about that?
That's scary. Jeez.
That's
we
a great
celebrate
line.
violence.
I can't believe coaches before haven't Barry, I can't believe you haven't heard that from one of your coaches over the years, man. That's a great line. You're muted, Barry.
I've heard worse than that. Way worse than that. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Yeah, man. I mean, just little things like I didn't heard defensive coaches say, "Hey, I want to see how the backup quarterback plays." You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, it's you know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
I even on the offensive line, Russ Grimmy, we got to punish them. Punish them. Now, don't let one of them SOBs walk out this game. Punish them. They will crawl out this game. You want to talk to us like that? You're going to crawl out this game. I'm like, okay.
Oh boy.
Let's go.
You
ready to go eat gunpowder and sniff gunpowder and drink hot sauce, and you know what I'm saying? You just want to go out there and straight choke people.
Destroy. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, and look, there's I wanted to hit you guys with this in the opening segment, but since we didn't get to it, I want to bounce this off you. So Nick Sirianni, when he was meeting with the media earlier this week, was pretty frank, saying that Jalen Hurts is still in pain. He's sore. He's not sure even if that soreness is going to be gone by the time they play their playoff game, coming up a week from Saturday or Sunday. And, he was very open, very frank. And there are a lot of people that are critical of that, saying, you know what, you shouldn't give out that kind of information, which is a little bit silly in the sense that, you don't think that whatever team they're playing was already going to be gunning for that shoulder to begin with. But also, I kind of get where they're coming from. And where it's fair and unfair is, in one sense, we want players and coaches to be transparent. We don't just want Andy Reid robots, right? Where I got to do a better job. That's on me. But then when they do it, they get beat up for it a little bit. Do you think Nick is a little bit too open and honest is where I'm going with this? I'll start with you, Gunnar.
No, because up until he made that comment, he has been very, very guarded. The entire coaching staff has been very guarded in terms of what they reveal to the media. When you look at the transcripts that the Eagles send out weekly, press conferences with the media, they are very good at tiptoeing around direct questions. And for him to let that slip, that's why I said when I first saw it, and first heard it after the game, it caught me off guard right away. I was like, what? Wait a minute. You openly admit that? Why would you do that now? Are you basically covering for him because he didn't play his game, because you called a very vanilla game to protect that shoulder? Why would you admit that now? Instead of just saying he's trending in the right direction, he's progressing. He got some of the rust off. You say that those are standard lines coaches will say. But for him to throw that caveat in there was a little alarming to a certain degree. But I would say to directly answer your question, no. I don't think they're too open and too honest, except for that one moment.
I, on the other hand, think that he didn't need to say it. You know what I'm saying? Name, rank, serial number. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
We didn't need to say any of that. Everybody knows Jalen Hurts, his shoulder hurts. They know that he injured his shoulder. Did we need to say that? No. But does this team care that they said that? No. They gonna protect him like he's the president. Believe that. That offensive line is gonna take it on them. You know, they're gonna take it as, all right, we got to make sure that he doesn't get touched. We got to make sure that, he doesn't, nobody sniffs the quarterback. And I think that's how Nick is going to kind of put it out there. Hey, I already told him he's sore. It's you guys' job to keep him from being any sore. You got to go out there and protect him. We got to play at a level that he doesn't get touched. You know what I'm saying? So we would take it as an offensive line, and the way we did it, hey, nobody touches him, period.
I think I'll tell you what the most interesting thing to me is going to be the way if there's no restrictions. Sal Paolantonio used the term restrictor plates were on him in the Giants game. If there's no restrictors in this, I think you have to do, even if he's sore, you have to throw caution to the wind and just do whatever it takes. But I don't know that they're necessarily going to do that in the very first game, in terms of just RPOs off tackle and, in the trenches and that kind of stuff. I just don't know right now.
And, and to play off of what Barrett just said about keeping him as one of the untouchables, that'll only hold up for so long, because if you play a team like Tampa, Giants, Dallas, they're bringing extra men, period. You can't block everybody. Somebody's going to slip through the picket fence eventually. You hope to minimize it. That's the key. You have to minimize the amount of body blows he takes.
Well, that. Everybody knows that. It's a violent game. You're not going to be perfect, but you've got everybody out there.
Yeah.
Going to be gunning for him. So you're going to give it a little extra. You're going to make sure that you do your job. Of course, you're not perfect, and you're not going to go out there and just stop everything. But just that little bit of emphasis from players is going to make it. And then if you do that, and I tell people all the time, in order to kill, you must be also willing to die. Mm-hmm. You're going to bring these guys, but let alone you go ahead and you bring whoever you want to bring. Bring as much pressure you get. You bring 8 people. Can you imagine what the damage that could happen when Jalen Hurts gets the ball out of his hands to Smitty, A.J. Brown, get the ball to Dallas Goedert? See, though it's a double-edged sword that some people don't, they think they know they can handle it, but, even like this 49er team everybody's boasting about. Yes, you got Nick Bosa. We got players for Nick Bosa. We got 2 really, 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 really good tackles that can handle Bosa. We got Kelsey, who can handle those linebackers. We have counters to everything that defense has. And oh, by the way, we got that X factor in Jalen Hurts. Yes, he might be sore. We talking about a guy that squats 600 pounds. He is not the average quarterback. He is not the average guy you think you can run up on and think he's just gonna fall down. So like I say, they've got a jab, they got a counter to everything. And oh, by the way, your offense also has the score. Brock Purdy, it's gonna be pretty tough playing against 2 really, really. No, I'm saying 3 now. 3 really good corners.
I think we tend to forget just how dominant they were.
Exactly.
How many different ways they could hurt you on offense and what they were doing in terms of getting to the quarterback and taking the ball away. Now, granted, it's been a minute since we've seen it. So I think that there's some fairness in people saying, can you just flip a switch? I think there is. It's fair. It's fair. Everything you laid out is right, Barrett. The one thing I would say is Lane Johnson's health can counter some of that. Because if Lane is not himself, man, and it's Driscoll, those dudes like on San Francisco's line start having a field day if that's the case. And it's just the way it is. There's just going to be a natural drop off from arguably the best tackle in the game to whatever it is. But I hear you.
In terms of protecting Jalen better moving forward, does that mean you keep an extra body in, whether it's a tight end, whether it's a running back? And if so, if you have to keep him in, speculating what they're going to try to bring, how much does that affect the flow patterns of the passing game? Well, you still have 2 premium, You're not going to keep an extra body in?
No, that's not how this offense works.
Okay.
They don't do that. They're 5 against the world. And when you bring that, it just so happened that Jalen Hurts is good enough to read those type of circumstances, to read those blitzes, understand where the ball's supposed to go. But we still can't downplay the horses that we have at receiver. 2,000-yard receivers.
Mm-hmm.
2. And a tight end that probably should have had 1,000 yards if he wasn't hurt. Bruh, we have exactly what you want as far as – I mean, we always going to have a fighter's chance against anybody in the league because of that, the firepower that we have. Defensively, bro, we got guys that can run. Like, yes, they got Nick Bosa. But then after that, you slide the line to Nick Bosa, and you possibly could keep a chipper there with Nick Bosa. But, man, who are you going to slide the line to against our defense?
Mm-hmm.
With Sweat coming back, BG, Hassan Reddick, Hargrave in the middle, Fletcher Cox in the middle, and Ndamukong Suh. I mean, the list goes on and on. Waves and waves. And I think we need to stop looking on and coveting everybody else's house and not really identifying what we have in our house.
I don't think anybody's done that.
Don't covet thy neighbor's wife. Just enjoy.
I don't think we've disrespected the Eagles' ability and success one iota. Yeah. But it's only fair to bring up what other teams do. We watch this team closer than any other team that we watch. But I do think it's fair to also look at the opposition and what they do bring to the table, in terms of point counterpoint. I mean, that's basically what it is. When we start sizing up whoever the Eagles' first opponent is, it's going to be point counterpoint in terms of pros and cons. Now, anybody the Eagles match up against it in the NFC, their pros by far outweigh the cons compared to the other team's pros versus cons. There's no question about it. But as we also know, having played the game at the highest level, having watched the game for multiple decades, we also know that the unexpected always comes into play somewhere. There's something that I say this all the time. We go over everything. When I say we, I mean the media in general. Mm-hmm. And you got guys who are Hall of Fame players and Hall of Fame coaches and coach game to the highest level. You sit and watch their pregame shows all day, all week long, and there's always the unexpected element that surfaces somewhere. And it's only a fair assessment. It's what it boils down to.
But that goes both ways, though. That
sure does.
That nugget that you see, that you get from watching film, watching tape, understanding where guys are, where they're supposed to be, how they get there. The biggest thing to me, the biggest treat that I saw was this last game, and I think it kind of went on. It kind of went under the radar with most people, is the fact that GJ came back.
Yep.
And when he got back, exactly.
Yeah.
It changed how you play the defense. And once they saw, bam, he's healthy enough, he looks good enough, you're going to get a more aggressive game in the playoffs because of that. You're going to see a lot more press coverage because I'm telling you, Gannon trusts CJGJ. Mm-hmm. He trusts him. He tied the NFL in interceptions this year.
Yeah.
He's at his natural position right now.
Yeah, he's playing slot corner for people who may not have seen the Eagles made that little adjustment. They kept Blankenship in at safety with Epps.
Who's playing very, very well, by the way. Mm-hmm. And he's playing deep third, and he's giving them that guy that can run sideline to sideline and allowed Epps to really play more aggressive around the line of scrimmage. It used to be that, Epps would have to be that deep safety. Now Blankenship has become that deep safety. Now that they use Epps, he can play him around. They trust him enough. They can play around the line of scrimmage a little more. So what I saw in that game, I don't think anybody else saw or really paid attention. They just saw a bad game that they played. Well, but they won. But I saw so many schematical things that they can do now with the personnel packages that they have now.
Hmm.
They can now get back. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right, Bark. Finish your point, please.
They can now get back to playing that bear front or Navajo front. It's when you cover the center and then you have tackles over the defensive tackles over the two guards. That's their run-stopping defense. They couldn't do that before because they didn't have anybody in the slot. They would have to bring protection, so you couldn't put that guy in the slot to stop anything. They can do that now with CJGJ being back.
Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Let me ask you, to what do you attribute, and maybe this is it, maybe we're hitting the nerve right here, the lack of takeaways of late? Is it CJGJ? Is it more than that? Is it as simply explained away by that? Why haven't they been able to get the turnovers like they were earlier in the year?
Well, to me, that's what it was.
Okay.
He didn't trust. He didn't trust. What's his name in the slot? I forgot his name.
Josiah Scott.
Josiah Scott. Yeah, he didn't trust Josiah Scott in the slot. He didn't at that time trust Reed Blankenship all the way. I think now he's like, all right, I've taken the training wheels off the defense. They're off now. Now we got to ride. It's either you stay up or you fall. They gonna stay up now. I just see a much more different and more complex defense going to be called by Gannon. Now, Gannon, don't piss me off and go out there with that soft shit. Let's go.
You know he's going to do it.
No, he better not, man. He better not.
Barrett, how many games have we watched this year? With much better personnel than he had in 2021. How many? See, I'm going to stop you right there because you didn't even believe that yourself.
Do I have to get started? 70 sacks.
I don't care.
70 sacks.
I don't care. You have 2 Pro Bowl corners. Why are they playing 7 to 10 yards off the ball?
Because he couldn't at the slot position. He had, when you don't understand that slot position is so key because teams were game planning that slot position. That's why you saw CeeDee Lamb motion and get into that slot position. That way you could, when you motion, you can't put Slay man to man on him because it messes. You can't play him out there at the wide spot. So him being there just kind of really messed up everything as far as his ability to be aggressive.
Barrett, when they were healthy, he was doing the same thing. It was just that he was doing the same thing. He was playing 7 to 10 yards off the ball.
Not so much, though. Not so much.
They were playing. Come on, man. They were not playing up. We were
when you watch
dreaming
film
about this every week.
When you watch film on them, they weren't playing back 7-8 yards like they were when they had Josiah Scott. They were actually playing up there 4 and 5. You know what I'm saying? That's why we had so many picks during that time period we're talking about. We had picks. It was a lot more aggressive defense when we had that then. That's why you had so many big plays back then because they were playing a lot more tighter. You know what I'm saying? The mindset was more aggressive.
Okay,
but I mean,
so
like
you got CJ back. You got CJ back now. What are you going to say? What are you going to say if he does this again in the playoffs?
I'm going to be pissed off, and I'll be on this show hollering and cussing and everything. My mom going to be mad at me.
You can't curse.
I'll be mad.
No, one of your New Year's resolutions was you will not curse.
You're right.
Did you not say that?
Yeah, you're right. Curse. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry on the stream.
Well, here's and this is really what it's going to come down to, right? So, for me at least, and you know where I have been here with this. First in sacks, third in takeaways. They're 7th in scoring defense, first against the pass.
Yep.
I mean, that didn't happen by accident. And
absolutely.
Now, here's the concern. When you're playing elite quarterbacks. Now, I don't know what you would call if it gets to the point where you're playing Brock Purdy. I don't know what you would call that, but you're playing an elite play caller against an elite play caller in Shanahan. This is where the rubber's going to meet the road here. This is where we're going to find out what this really is. And I think having C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, I don't know about Maddox. I don't know. I'm not even counting on it. But if you would get him back, it'd be perfect. But I don't think it's likely. But anyway, this is what it comes down to. Are you going to get picked apart in the zone where you can't get off the field? Or are you just not going to allow the big play? I mean, that's really his principal foundation is I'm not giving up big plays.
And that works.
And it's worked pretty well for them. Even last year, it worked pretty well for them. But that's really what this amounts to. The defense has got to be able to take the ball away now, starting now. And you can't just have these drives that eat up 8-9 minutes and where you can't get off the field on third down.
Right.
You have to pick and choose your aggression. And I think he could do a better job at that, where he picks and chooses his aggression. That's where I would agree with you, Derek. I think there are moments where it calls for just a little bit more. But people make it out like he never blitzes, which isn't true.
No, I didn't say that. But I'm saying when you have the type of personnel that he has at his disposal, think about how many other teams have that luxury to have the type of personnel. It's like you unleash the dogs and put raw meat in front of them and tell them, go get it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And too many times we sat back saying, he did this, but wait a minute. Why is he doing this over the next 7-8 minutes? Okay, now it does, but why is he? Wait a minute. You have 17 players who have emerged as either Pro Bowlers or alternates, correct? 17.
Yep.
Right.
Unleash the hounds. Right now is when you unleash the hound. You just blow everything up, unleash the hounds. No time to be conservative because You have a roster where if you make mistakes, you have enough personnel to cover up certain mistakes that other teams cannot cover up.
Yeah.
You turn them loose now. None of this conservative stuff. When Eagles play the playoff games, the word conservative in any way, shape, or form should not spill across our lips. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Conservative, yes, but don't get away from who you are also. I mean, you don't have to be a completely different team.
No, you don't.
Or philosophy.
No, you don't. But you can be more assertive in a lot of ways. Still be who you are, but be more assertive in a lot of ways.
But and if I'm being frank, and a lot of this comes down to with how healthy Hurts is, but I'm more worried about the defensive side of the ball than I am the offensive side of the ball generally. Even with Lane's injury issue, I feel like they're going to be able to score points. I just worry that the defense is not going to be able to get off the field. That's a big concern.
See, you just said what I just said.
Barry, are you more concerned defense or offense?
I think I would be more concerned offensively.
Okay,
but really? I'm sorry, defensively, because I'm not necessarily as concerned about the offense because everything works hand in hand. And the way to beat this team, the way to beat the Eagles team is to control the line of scrimmage, control the clock. And the only way you control the clock is control the line of scrimmage. If you can control the clock, they haven't been able to play that bear defense like they did before. Well, 50 defense, that's what they call it, 50 defense, 5 down linemen. In order for them to be success, they have to win on first and second down. Now, first and second down was their Achilles heel all last year because teams would get, and since they were so weak at the cornerback position, they were so passive at the quarterback position, it was just like pitch and catch. You have 8 yards there, 6 yards there. But they started playing more aggressively. And once you start eating up that cushion and getting down on them and playing press coverage, and you can run press coverage in man and you can run press coverage in zone. Press coverage meaning you just tighter up on the receiver, which is taking away that first read. When you take away that first read, it gives the defensive line more time to get there. It used to be they used to get the ball out so fast that they, now they're second and 3, second and 2. Well, now if you notice, on first down, they're winning first down. They're not letting them complete passes. Now they're second and 10, third and 6, third and 7, third and 8. They win because now you can use those cornerbacks, those great cornerbacks that you have. You weren't able to use them before, but now you're able to use them because they're having success on first down. But a lot of that success comes from playing that 50 front, not allowing them to run the ball and gain 6 yards a pop and 7 yards a pop. That was hurting this team. And during these last couple of weeks, when Jalen Hurts wasn't in there, that's exactly what was happening. They weren't out there playing that 50 front. They didn't play a lot of that 50 front at all. You didn't see it out there, so they weren't stopping a run. They tried to run it against against the Saints, but it was counterintuitive for them because then they started passing. Even the worst quarterback, Taysom Hill, the worst quarterback in the league, had success because they were playing too far up. You can play more aggressive now that you have a slot cornerback in there. That's a huge, huge, huge difference on how you call a defense. And he trusts that guy now. So you can run that 50 front. Now you're going to have success on first and second down. Now you can play more aggressive on third down, the money down. That's where they were getting all the turnovers on the money down.
Right. Well, you look at it, first 7 games, plus 14 turnovers. Last 10 minus 6. That's a worry, right? That's a worry.
Absolutely a worry.
Getting the leading interception man, back in CJGJ for them obviously is enormous. He finished. It's pretty remarkable considering the time that he missed here. In terms of just league interception, guys. He's tied for the most. Justin Simmons, Minka Fitzpatrick, CJGJ and Tariq Woolen are all had 6 this year. It's crazy that he had that many despite missing that time. Getting him back, yes, the pass rush is going to be a big part of this thing. And the tough part is really it's a lot of self-scouting for the Eagles right now because you just don't know who you're going to play. If you guys best guess, and I may have hit you with this yesterday, but if I did, I apologize. Best guess who you think they're going to play. Do you think it is the Bucs, the Cowboys, the Giants, or the Seahawks? Seahawks. Who do you think it is?
I'm saying the Giants. They have a better chance of beating the Vikings because the Vikings are all in turmoil right now. You know, they don't know what they want to do. With them blitzing the way they blitz, going against Cousins, I just think it'll be it's a wrap for that Minnesota team.
So you think the Giants upset them in Minnesota this week?
Yep.
How about you, Derek?
I don't disagree, but I think Dallas has the best chance to win on the road this week. But I don't trust Dak. If Dallas plays on point, Tampa Bay is one and done. But because of what Dak has done this season, 15 interceptions in 12 games, 7 consecutive games with picks. How many pick sixes has he thrown over that time frame?
Yeah,
I don't know what to expect from Dallas going down there. To be quite honest with you. But in terms of personnel, matchup for matchup, I think Dallas has the best personnel overall to win on the road in round 1. But I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't think it's going to happen because Dallas can't. Well, first of all, Tampa has no running game. Dallas can't stop the run, so that's an advantage Dallas because Tampa's not going to run the game. Brady's going to throw the ball 45 times, which means Dallas is going to send the house. But can Dallas guys cover on the back end on all those quick slants that he loves to throw? 1, 2, 3 gone is not going to get Dallas a lot of sacks in this game.
Right.
You know, and unless they can get pressure up the middle, if you look at Dallas, a lot of their pressure comes from the edge, more so than the middle. When they get to the quarterbacks, can they get to Brady and make him step up and deliver the ball a lot quicker? But because of that dude Dak Prescott being a liability instead of an asset, I'm gonna have to say based on what I saw from the Giants in Minnesota, the Giants could have won that game. I mean, that dude had to hit it 61-yard field goal to win that game for Minnesota.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I think the Giants' pressure and the fact that we joke about it, but there's a lot of truth to it when you look at it. Kirk Cousins is not playing at 1 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay. He's not playing at 1 o'clock.
It's a 4:30, by the way.
It's a 4:30 game.
4:30 Sunday.
And it's like the Giants starters had a bye because they didn't play this last game.
Right. Exactly.
That's
so
true.
You got guys healing up, and guys on the back end of the defense are coming back also.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're getting healthier. So the Giants already know. The Giants are going in with the mindset, we can win in Minnesota.
Absolutely.
So push come to shove, I'll save the Giants, but I think personnel-wise, Dallas has the best chance of winning. I think Dak is going to cost them that game.
Yeah, I hear you. And look, they're both low lines. Like the Vikings are only favored by 3 at home against the Giants, and Tampa Bay's getting 2.5 points at home against Dallas. So you talk about 2 relatively low lines there for both of those games. I think it's going to be real. You're right. I mean, how much this really comes down to Dak turning it over and whether or not Brady and the offense can just ratchet it up for a full 60, and not have to have this thing be this, fourth quarter, they're down 14. Here we go. That's hard to do every single week.
Right.
And that's really what you need to see from them. But Giants game plan is pretty simple. I think having Saquon getting a full week off is going to be huge for them.
Huge.
He's fresh. He hasn't been probably feeling this good since like week 2 or something like that. So
I'll take it one step further. Watch Daniel Jones with that porous zone defense that the Vikings play. Watch Daniel Jones on all those slant routes that he throws. Daniel Jones has been money on the slant routes to his receivers all season long. He's strong. He's strong arm. He can throw the deep ball, but he has been on point when it comes to those slant routes. So I think that's going to weigh into that factor also in terms of how that game's decided.
And then Galladay's back.
Galladay.
Okay.
Who thought we'd have been talking about Galladay?
I'm not going that far, Barrett.
Jesse James of the NFL.
Did he? I know he is, but did he played well enough that, all right, they like, all right, he has all the intangibles.
He does.
All of them.
Yes, he does. He hasn't done anything in 2 seasons until he played the Eagles, in a meaningless game on Sunday. Now, one thing that worries me, the only team Dak plays well against is the Eagles. It doesn't make a difference if it's road or home. Yep. He plays well against the Eagles, and for the life of me, that just blows me away.
All right, you're right, Derek. But let's go to the other side. We saw how crappy, frankly, the Eagles' offense looked against the Saints.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They went up and down the field against the Cowboys.
Yeah, they did.
and
They
only
sure
lost
did.
because they self-inflicted wounds. So
Right.
I don't know that I go in all that
Absolutely.
impressed with the Cowboys defense either.
I'm not
No,
impressed
it's not the
with
same
Cowboys
defense.
It's
It's
not,
not
I'm
the
not.
same.
You know, the sack total has dropped over the last 5-6 games.
Right.
Look
Right.
at the sack total. You know, they're still blitzing these out, but they're not getting people home like they were with the frequency that they were in the early half of the season.
Right. Remember I talked about Smith?
Yeah.
He's a baller, man, and he's been the guy that's been, giving them what they need as far as, interrupting stuff. He and Parsons play well together, but other than that, I don't see the same defense that I saw back in the day. I mean, a couple of weeks ago. They are not what they were beginning of the season. And I think it was more so because these guys were new and nobody knew how to block them. I mean, it's ways to block that to make them get out of playing the way they were playing. See, they were doing all these stunts and slants and stuff like that. But people figured out if you run those type of slants and stunts and you don't get to where you're supposed to be at, it opens up a cavernous hole. And what was happening is teams started running zone running on them. And they would cut a guy off from getting to his gap. And when he wasn't getting to his gap, the guy on the other side of that gap was getting to his gap. So he widened the hole even bigger, and that's why they had so much success running the football on them. You can still run the football on Dallas, and they can't do all that other stuff because they just don't have the horses anymore to do it. People know how to stop that now.
Yeah, that's there's a lot to dive into, man, when it comes to these games. That's for sure. And I think we are going to see some upsets. It rarely ever goes chalk. And there's a couple interesting ones. Like Saturday, you got the Jags and the Chargers. Chargers are favored by 2 points on the road in Jacksonville. That San Francisco line's up to 10 against Seattle. You have the Buffalo's minus 13 now. That line has kind of moved a little bit now that we know it's going to be Skylar Thompson, not Tua, and not Teddy Bridgewater. Giants, as I mentioned, are getting 3 points. Ravens and the Bengals are minus 7. The Cowboys are minus 2.5 over the Buccaneers. So, I would guess, if I had to guess, I would probably, if I put my upsets out there, I'd say Bucks, Giants most likely, possibly Jaguars. If I was ranking,
I pick the Jaguars over the Chargers.
Yeah,
I would pick the Jaguars over the Chargers.
Now is Williams gone now for the rest of the playoffs?
No.
All X-rays were negative, Barrett. So maybe he might play.
Depends on how sore he is. Exactly. Depends on how sore he is.
Yeah. So it's weird. Like he actually left. They helped him leave the field when they got him in the tunnel, like the hallway. Then they put him on a cart, I guess, to get him into the X-ray room. I don't know. I don't know why he got on a cart. I'm not sure, but he may end up playing. So that's a good thing. I think Bosa is going to be okay too. I'll tell you what. Do not discount Brandon Staley getting fired if they lose that game to the Jags.
I agree
Sean
with
Payton
you 100%.
Wow.
I agree with you 100%.
I hadn't even thought about that. Wow.
Payton wants to be in LA, and he'd been hiring in a team that's got a quarterback.
Wow.
And receivers and a defense.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense for him.
Yeah.
I think Denver could make sense too. And with everything that James Palmer laid out earlier, he would be taking over a really good defense, number one, in fact. And if it was just coaching malpractice by Nathaniel Hackett, I don't think that's true, by the way. Like I can't, as much as Hackett was overmatched, Russell Wilson has to, have some ownership of
be held accountable. Yes.
But I think, considering he's got Judy, he's got some other pieces there. Like, I think you can fix that thing. So I think that would make sense for Payton too. Either one of those spots. Like, I know James mentioned Arizona. Like, do you want to take over Arizona? Saddled with Kyler Murray and all the other issues they have, and trading DeAndre Hopkins.
The only thing is, though, I don't think Kyler Murray could pull the stuff he pulled on Cliff Kingsbury with Sean Payton.
No.
There's no way Sean Payton would go in there and allow Kyler Murray to run that show. That ain't happening.
Absolutely not.
Not with the respect he has around the league. And if Arizona wants to win and you bring in a Sean Payton, you know what you do? You close the doors in the office, Sean. When you need us, let us know. Other than that, do what you have to do to fix this thing.
They're going to have to give him that carte blanche to do that.
Absolutely.
You got to give him the reins, and he wouldn't go anywhere that he didn't have the reins.
He would get that with the Chargers.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Teams like Denver and the Chargers are built to win right now.
Yep.
Yes.
You just need the right leader. Sean Payton is the right leader to lead any one of those teams. And I believe, honestly, Sean Payton turned Arizona around also.
Yeah, he could.
I honestly believe it. Look, Kyler, I understand you got your $231 million, but you play for me. I don't play for you. Yeah. That's the first conversation I would have with Kyler Murray.
And if I got any pushback, I would just ask, how'd last year go, man?
Yeah, right.
How'd the last 2 years go? How'd your playoff appearance go against the Rams in 21?
Yeah.
How'd it go? How'd your season go after you were 6-0 and got bumped off by Green Bay and your team spiraled out of control? How does your numbers look after that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've been in the league 3 years. I've been coaching in this league over 20. Trust me, okay? Just trust me. Go along with the program. If you don't like it here, let's see if we can move you somewhere. Now, we're going to have to take a cap hit, but let's see if we can move you somewhere where you can go somewhere else.
Yeah. And that organization will let them, too. That organization.
Absolutely.
Let you do it.
Absolutely. You bring in a Sean Payton, you do not stand in his way.
Nope.
His success ratio has proven that he knows what he's talking about. This ain't no Nathaniel Hackett. This ain't Cliff Kingsbury. This ain't Brandon Staley. We're talking about Sean Payton. Okay, he's won only one Super Bowl. He walked away from coaching. He wasn't pushed out. Nope. He would still be in New Orleans if he wanted to. That's how much respect he has.
Yeah, well said. Well said. All right, when we come back, we're going to dig into a bunch of different things. Mention the Sixers. There's a couple other things, odds and ends. 2 o'clock, our NFL segment. In the NFL segment, we'll dive into which is the best job out there. There's 5 openings right now. There may be more if someone gets bounced in the first round, as I mentioned. But right now, there's 5. Which one is the best? Which one is the worst? We'll get into that. Some guys on the trading block. Some guys coming back. Jerry Jones speaking out, shockingly. So we'll get into all those kind of things. He never stops. All those things when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you right now about Pro Action. Actually, I'm going to tell you about Flynn Tree Services, Andrew. Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem you may face. So if you have any type of tree issues in your yard, your property, your front yard as well, they're just a quick phone call away. They're experts at trimming all types of trees, and they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. Now, keep in mind, we're in that hurricane season, that wind season. It's a great time to have your trees evaluated before something worse happens. Go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.